The forest was silent. Birds didn't sing. Leaves didn't rustle. Even the wind had stopped. Jake, a human explorer, walked carefully through the thick, green alien jungle. His boots sank a little into the soft ground. His eyes moved left and right, alert. This planet was wild. He had been warned not to go far from the camp, but he was curious. He wanted to see more. Then, a sound. A scream, high-pitched, young, scared. Jake stopped. He held his breath. Help. Please, someone help. My mom, a voice cried from deeper in the trees. It wasn't a human voice, but it spoke in human language. Jake's heart raced. He looked around. Did I really hear that? Again, the voice came. Closer now. Please, human, my mom, she's hurt. Without thinking, Jake ran toward the sound. He jumped over roots, pushed through hanging vines, and slid down a muddy slope. His training kicked in. Check surroundings. Watch for traps, but he didn't stop. Then he saw her, a small alien girl, no taller than his chest, was standing in front of a large snare trap. Her skin was light purple, and her eyes glowed softly. In the dim light, tears ran down her cheeks. She didn't look dangerous. She looked heartbroken. And behind her, Jake saw the problem. An adult alien woman, taller, with the same glowing eyes, was lying on the ground. A large metal trap had closed around her leg. Blood dark blue flowed from the wound. She was barely breathing. Jake dropped to one knee. I'm here, he said gently. I'm human, I'll help. The girl ran to him. She tried to. Protect me, the trap caught her. Please don't let her die. Jake looked at the trap. It wasn't a normal hunting trap. It was big, sharp, strong enough to hold something smart and powerful. A sentient trap, he frowned. Who would set this? Here, he whispered to himself. Jake checked the alien. Woman's pulse, faint, weak. She needed help fast. He looked at the trap more closely. It had a sensor light. A glowing red dot blinked slowly. Jake didn't like that. Is this your mother? He asked the girl. She nodded fast. Yes, her name is Valra. I'm Kairu. We live not far. But we were running. Bad people were chasing. U.S. Jake's eyes narrowed. Poachers? Kairu's eyes filled with fear. Yes, they hunt us. For sport. Jake clenched his jaw. That was illegal, cruel, and wrong. He pulled a small toolkit from his belt. I'll try to open this, but you have to stay back, okay? Kairu backed up slowly, biting her lip. Jake began working on the trap. The metal was strong and strange alien tech, but the mechanism looked simple enough. He tried to wedge it open. With a bar. Suddenly, the red sensor light blinked faster. Jake froze. What's happening? Kairu whispered. Jake looked at her calmly. It detected movement, probably a security feature. Is it going to explode? She asked, shaking. I don't know, Jake said honestly. He tried again, carefully sliding a small wire into the lock. Click. The trap twitched, but didn't open. Instead, a sharp beep sounded from somewhere nearby. Jake's head shot up. From the trees, a shadow moved. Then another. Kiru gasped. They're coming. Jake jumped up, pulling Kiru behind him. He held his weapon in one hand, eyes locked on. The trees, shapes moved between the trunks. Fast. Silent. Jake whispered. Don't be afraid. Stay low. Velra, the mother, let out a weak sound. Her eyes fluttered open. She looked at Jake. Run. She whispered. I'm not leaving you, Jake said firmly. More beeping. The trap was alerting someone. Or something. Kiru clung to Jake's side. Please don't let them take her again. Jake didn't answer. His mind raced. He had no backup. No comes. Just a wounded alien, a terrified child, and a dark jungle full of danger. He made a decision. I'll get her out, he said. No matter what. He pressed a button on his wristband and sent out a signal, a flare. It might reach the sky. Or maybe not. The forest remained still. For now, but Jake knew something was watching. He tightened his grip on his weapon, eyes on the shadows. The hunt had begun. The trap wasn't made to kill fast. It was built to make them suffer. Jake knelt beside the strange alien device. It was large, sharp, and tightly locked around the mother's leg. Her purple skin was turning pale. Her blood thick and dark blue dripped slowly to the ground. He had seen traps before, but never like this. The edges were lined with tiny, glowing rune symbols that buzzed softly. Not just a trap. Tech-enhanced. Dangerous. Illegal. Behind him, the little alien girl, Karu, wiped her tears. "She protected me," she said softly. "She pushed me out of the way, then the trap caught her." Jake glanced at the jungle. "Did you see who set it?" She nodded slowly. "3 of them. They wore black armor, and they laughed." Jake's jaw tightened. Poachers. The worst kind. They didn't just hunt for food or survival. They hunted for fun, for money, for sport. And they didn't care if their prey screamed. Jake looked down at the wounded mother. She was unconscious, barely breathing. If he didn't act fast, she'd die. He opened his kit and pulled out a thin tool with a red tip. "Kiru, stay behind that tree. If I mess this up, the trap could react." "React how?" she asked. Jake didn't answer. He focused, hands steady, eyes sharp. He slid the tool into the lock. There was resistance, then a click. Good. But then beep. A tiny red light blinked to life on the side of the trap. Jake froze. "What is it?" Kairu whispered. "It has a sensor," he said. "A movement trigger. Could be sending a signal." "To who?" she asked. Jake didn't want to say it, but he knew the answer. To the ones who set it. He worked faster now. Another tool. Another click. The metal shifted. The jaw loosened slightly. Kiru gasped. "It's working." But the light turned yellow, then orange. Jake's eyes widened. "That's a countdown." Suddenly, from deep in the jungle, a voice echoed. "Found the signal. It's active." Jake grabbed his blaster and stood, putting himself between the trap and Kiru. Shadows moved between the trees, fast, silent. Kiru backed up. "They're here." The alien mother groaned in pain, still too weak to move. Jake fired once into the air. Zap. A warning shot. "Show yourselves," he shouted. 3 poachers stepped into view. All tall, all armored. Each carried a spear charged with electric energy. One of them laughed. "You again." "The human," another pointed. "Step away from the specimen." Jake didn't move. "She's not a specimen. She's a living being, a mother. The leader. She's marked. Legal prey, paid for and tracked." Kiru cried. "She's not property." The poacher raised his spear. "Move, human. We'll take her, and maybe sell the child." Jake's finger tightened on the trigger. "Try it." The air grew still. The poachers tensed. Jake glanced at the trap. He had one shot to unlock it. One wrong move and the trap might release a poison dart, or worse. But he couldn't wait anymore. He turned, jabbed the tool deep into the mechanism, and twisted. Click. The trap snapped open. The mother's legs slumped free, torn and bleeding, but no longer crushed. Jake lifted her into his arms. "Kiru, stay close," the poachers shouted. "He's running." Jake dashed through the trees, pushing through vines, jumping over roots. Kiru ran beside him, breath fast, heart pounding. Behind them, footsteps, shouts, and something else. A long, deep howl from far behind. Kiru's eyes widened. "They released the beast." Jake looked at her. "What beast?" She whispered. "The one they keep for rebels. It hunts until you stop breathing." Jake didn't stop. He had no plan. No backup. But he had a girl at his side. A wounded mother in his arms, and a promise in his heart. He would not let them die. Blood dripped onto Jake's boot. It wasn't his. He looked down at the alien mother in his arms. Her body was limp. Her breathing was shallow. The trap had done more damage than he thought. Behind him, the little alien girl, Kiru, was trying not to cry. Her small hand clutched the bottom of his shirt. She was silent now, but her fear screamed, louder than words. They weren't just running from danger. They were being hunted. Jake kept moving through the thick forest, pushing past giant leaves and stepping over broken roots. He couldn't move. Fast Valra, the alien mother, was too hurt to carry easily, and he couldn't leave her behind. "Where's your home?" he asked softly. Kiru pointed. "That way. But it's far, too far." Jake's jaw tightened. "Then we find shelter first." He spotted a dark shape ahead. A broken ship half covered in moss and vines. Maybe it had crashed years ago, but maybe it was just what they needed. He rushed forward and pulled open the heavy door. Inside was silence, cool air, darkness. He set Valra down gently. She groaned but didn't wake. He checked her leg again. The bleeding had slowed, but the wound was deep, and infection was likely. Jake turned to Kiru. "We stay here for now. It's safer." Kiru sat beside her mother, brushing her hair. "Will she die?" Jake didn't answer right away. He crouched. "Not if I can help it." But deep inside, he knew it wouldn't be enough. She needed real medical help. Jake opened his wrist device. "No signal." "Of course," he muttered. "Their jamming comes." Just then, a soft metallic beep sounded. From outside the broken ship. Jake froze. Another beep. Then footsteps. Not wild. Not beast. These were heavy, armored, slow, searching. Jake grabbed his blaster and whispered, "Stay quiet. Hide behind the panel. Don't move." Kiru obeyed instantly, pulling a piece of scrap metal over herself and her mother. Jake pressed his back to the wall and waited. Through the broken window, he saw them, two figures, tall, in dark armor with glowing red visors, hunters, the same kind who placed the trap. One of them spoke, his voice rough and cruel. "Tracker says they're nearby." The other laughed. "She can't get far with her leg, and the humans alone." Jake gritted his teeth. So they knew about him. The first one stepped closer to the ship. He probably thought this wreck is a good hiding spot. His hand reached for the door. Jake acted fast. He hit the emergency seal button. The ship's rusted door slammed shut with a loud clang. Then he rolled back and hit the flare launcher. Boom! A flash of white light burst through the cracks. The hunters screamed. Jake didn't wait. He ran out the other side of the wreck, through a hidden hatch, and circled around. From the shadows, he aimed carefully and fired 2 shots. Zap, zap, 1. Hunter dropped. The other spun and fired back, barely missing Jake's shoulder. Jake rolled, hit the mud, and shot again. Zap. The second hunter went down stunned, not dead. He ran forward, grabbed the first hunter's communicator, and crushed it under his boot. Then he leaned in close to the stunned one. "Tell your friends," Jake growled. "I'm not just passing through." The hunter's visor flickered. His voice shook. "You'll die out here, for nothing." Jake leaned closer. "I'm not dying. She's not dying. You? Maybe." Then he knocked the hunter out cold. Jake returned to the ship fast. Kiru peeked from her hiding spot. "Are we safe?" "For now," Jake said. "But more are coming. We need to move again." He picked up Valra once more and looked toward the hills. "There's a safe zone," Kiru whispered suddenly. "A sacred place. My mother used to take me there when I was small. No hunter dares go." Jake looked at her. "Can you lead me?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, I remember the way." Jake smiled. "Then that's where we're going." He stepped into the jungle again, carrying a wounded mother, guided by a brave little girl, while every hunter on the planet wanted them dead. Asterisk. He's just one human. The hunter growled. break his legs. Jake stood at the edge of the clearing, still holding the injured alien mother in his arms. Kiru, the little alien girl, clung to his side. Surrounding them were 3 alien hunters, tall and armored, their faces hidden behind black helmets. Each one held a stun spear, crackling with blue energy. Jake didn't flinch. "I won't let you take her," he said coldly. The lead hunter laughed. "You think we care what you want, human? That's a Class 5 hunt specimen. She belongs to the Syndicate." Jake looked down at Valra. Her face was pale, eyes half open. She was trying to speak, but only a faint breath came out. Kiru cried. "She's not a thing. She's my mom." One hunter pointed his spear at the girl. "Then she'll watch her. Mom die first." Jake stepped forward, setting Valra down gently on the ground. He stood between her and the hunters. His hand reached for his weapon. "I don't care who you work for," Jake said. "You'll have to go through me first." The second hunter smiled beneath his helmet. "Gladly." He lunged. Jake moved faster. With a single step, he dodged left and fired. The plasma bolt hit the hunter square in the chest. Sparks flew. The alien collapsed backward with a grunt. The other 2 charged. Jake rolled, grabbed a stun spear from the fallen hunter, and twisted it in midair, jamming the crackling tip into the second one's leg. Crack! A shockwave rippled through the clearing. The hunter screamed and dropped to the ground. Only the leader remained. He stood calmly, not afraid. Instead, he pulled out a long curved blade and pointed it at Jake. "You've made a mistake," he said. "No one protects the hunted, especially not a human." Jake tightened his grip on the spear. "I'm not just a human. I'm a soldier. And I don't leave anyone behind." They clashed. Steel met lightning. The hunter was fast, but Jake was faster. Every move was sharp, clean, brutal. Years of training and survival kicked in. The 2 circled each other. The hunter lunged again, but Jake dropped low, sweeping his leg under him, and brought the spear up to the hunter's chest. Thud! The leader hit the dirt. Jake stood over him, breathing hard. "Tell your Syndicate, if they come after this girl and her mother again, I'll come after them." The hunter groaned, clutching his side. "Why? Would you risk your life for them? They're not even your kind." Jake looked at Kiru, who was holding her mother's hand and crying quietly. He said, "Because no one else would." "That's exactly why I did." Jake didn't kill the hunter. Instead, he dragged all 3 bodies to the edge of the clearing and tied them together using their own cords. He planted a broken spear in the ground next to them like a warning. He returned. Kiru had helped cover her mother with a blanket Jake had given her. "She's cold," the girl said. "She's not talking anymore." Jake knelt down and checked Valra's pulse again. Still alive, but barely. "We need to move," Kiru whispered. "The safe zone is not far." Jake nodded. "Let's go." Fast, as they disappeared into the trees again, the sun dipped lower in the alien sky. Strange creatures howled in the distance. The forest grew darker. Jake's body ached. His arms burned from carrying Valra. But he didn't stop. Behind them, far back in the clearing, one of the hunters finally moved again. He reached for his communicator and spoke one word through bloodied lips. "Send the beast." The trees whispered her name. Not in words, but in sound, in feeling. As they walked deeper into the forest, Kiru kept glancing around. "She's close," the little alien girl said softly. Jake looked at her. "Who's close?" Kiru pointed. "Ahead. The forest remembers her. My mother. This was once her sacred place." Jake pushed forward, carrying Valra's weak body in his arms. Her breathing was slow. Her skin, once glowing faintly purple, was now dull and cold. He didn't speak. He was focused, tired, but never stopping. Hours ago, he had fought off trained hunters, Now his real enemy was time. Valra was dying, and they were still not safe. Kiru stepped through two massive, root-covered stones that looked like claws rising from the ground. "We're here," she whispered. Jake followed and stopped. Before him stood an ancient alien temple, half buried in vines, glowing with soft blue light. It looked abandoned, yet untouched by time. Giant trees curved around it like guardians. He stepped inside, lowering Valra onto a mossy stone bed in the center. As soon as she touched it, the blue glow under her body began to shine brighter. Kiru gasped. The stone still remembers her. Jake looked around. Strange symbols moved across the walls, written in alien script. Is this healing her? Kiru nodded. This is the place of first blood. It's sacred to my mother's tribe. Only her kind may enter. Jake frowned. Then why am I allowed in? Kiru looked up at him. Because she accepted you. The forest listens to her heart. Jake turned back to Valra. Her chest rose a little more now. Her hand twitched. He allowed himself a breath of hope. Then the wind changed. It blew through the cracks in the temple walls, not cold, but heavy, like a warning. Jake felt it. So did Kiru. Something's coming, Jake said. Kiru's face turned pale. The beast. They've sent it. Jake checked his weapon. Low power. He crouched beside Valra. Wake up, he whispered. I need you. Your daughter needs you. For a moment, nothing. Then her eyes opened, just slightly. Her voice came in a whisper. Why did you save us? Jake answered. Because no one else would. Tears formed in her glowing eyes. My kind once ruled these forests. But we were hunted for resisting the syndicate. My husband, he died fighting them. Kiru moved to her side. He told me stories of warriors, brave ones. Valra touched her daughter's face. And now a human has become one. Jake didn't know what to say, but there was no time to talk. Deep growl echoed from the jungle. Closer now, louder. Jake stood. Kiru, stay with your mother. Don't come out. Not unless I call you. He stepped out of the temple, weapon raised. Forest went silent. Then dash boomed. A massive shape broke through the trees. It wasn't a hunter. It wasn't a soldier. It was a monster. 10 feet tall. Black fur. Long arms with claws like swords. Its eyes glowed red. Its jaw opened, revealing rows of teeth. Kiru screamed inside the temple. The beast looked straight at Jake. And charged. It didn't walk, it thundered. Each step of the beast shook the forest floor. Birds flew from trees. Branches cracked under its weight. Jake didn't blink. He stood in front of the glowing temple, his body blocking the entrance, his blaster aimed at the monster charging straight at him. Behind him, the wounded alien mother, Valra, lay barely breathing. And the child Kiru was screaming from deep inside the ancient walls. But Jake didn't move. He COULDN single quotes because if he ran, they'd die. The beast roared again, louder now, furious. It had been trained to kill, not to hunt, not to chase. Just kill. Jake took a breath. Come on, he muttered. Let's dance. The creature lunged. Jake rolled left, just barely avoiding its swipe. A tree behind him exploded as the beast's claws ripped through it like paper. He, FIREDZAP, zapped. Blue plasma bolts hit the beast's thick hide, but did nothing. Jake's eyes widened. Oh, great. The monster turned, its red eyes locked on him again. It opened its jaws, revealing a metal implant glowing in its throat. This thing's enhanced, Jake realized. They turned it into a machine. The beast roared again and slammed its fists into the ground, sending a shockwave through the jungle. Jake was thrown off his feet, crashing into a tree. His vision blurred. The beast came closer. Jake reached for a flare, but he had only one left. He stood, body aching, and held it high. FWOOM. The flare burst into light. A blinding flash, the beast shrieked and stumbled back, confused. Jake took the chance. He ran to the temple and shouted, "Kairu, take your mom and get to the back chamber, now." Inside, Kairu cried out, "We can't leave you." Jake looked at her through the temple's glowing doorway. "Yes, you can." He turned back to face the monster, but he wasn't alone anymore. A new sound filled the air. Whispers. Soft, ancient, power. Jake turned. Valra still. Weak was standing in the doorway. Barefoot, bloody, but standing. The temple's blue light now wrapped around her body like armor. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever before. Kiru gasped, "Mom!" Valra raised one hand. "This forest is not yours, beast." The monster growled. Valra stepped forward, her voice stronger now. "You smell fear, don't you? Then smell this, a mother's rage." She raised her hand and the vines around the trees came alive. They moved like snakes, fast and sharp, lashing toward the beast, wrapping its legs, arms, and neck. The monster roared and thrashed, but the forest obeyed her. Jake stared in awe. Valra turned to him. "Finish it." Jake nodded. He ran up the creature's back, using the vines like steps, and climbed to its neck. He pulled a pulse grenade from his belt, clicked it once, and jammed it under the glowing implant in the beast's throat. Then he jumped down. Boom! The grenade exploded in a burst of light and smoke. The monster let out one final, broken cry and collapsed. The forest fell silent again. Jake breathed hard, holding his ribs. "Remind me never to fight a forest god." Valra dropped to one knee, panting. Jake rushed to her and helped her sit. "That power, what was it?" She gave a weak smile. "This place. It remembers bloodlines, and I am the last of mine." Kairu ran out, hugging her. "You're okay, you're okay." Jake sat beside them, finally relaxing, but only for a moment, because deep in the trees far away, metal boots were marching. More were coming, and Jake knew they had one fight left. The human stood alone. His body was bruised, his face cut. His arms burned from the fight, but he did not fall. Jake stood in front of the alien mother and her daughter, his back straight, his eyes sharp. The jungle around them shook with the sound of marching boots. They were coming, dozens of black-armored syndicate soldiers, weapons ready, trained killers. Their leader, a tall alien with silver eyes, stepped forward and pointed at Jake. "Step aside, human. We only want the female." Jake didn't move. "She's not yours. She was hunted and marked. That gives U.S. rights." Jake's voice was calm but strong. "She was a mother protecting her child, and I won't let you touch either of them." The commander sneered. "You're one man against us all." Jake smiled. "One man is enough when he's made a promise." Behind him, Valra, still weak but standing, looked at him with glowing eyes. Her hand rested on Kiru's shoulder. "Kiru whispered, he's really staying." Valra nodded. "He gave his word." Jake took a deep breath and pressed a button on his wrist. Ping! A silent signal shot into the sky. Far above the planet, a hidden human rescue ship received the code. Help was on its way, but they had to survive long enough for it to arrive. The syndicate commander shouted, "Open fire!" Jake grabbed his blaster and dove behind a rock. Energy bolts flew past him. Trees exploded. The ground shook. He fired back, hitting two soldiers. He moved fast, using the jungle's cover, just like he'd learned in 100 battles. But there were too many. Valra closed her eyes and whispered in her native tongue. The jungle answered. Vines snapped awake. Roots lifted from the ground. The forest, once quiet, now fought beside her. Syndicate soldiers screamed as branches pulled their weapons away. Trees bent to block their aim. Kiru stood close to her mother, holding her tight. Jake kept firing. One shot. Two. He moved like wind, dodging, striking, falling, and standing again. Then a heavy blast knocked him down. He hit the dirt. blood on his lips. The commander stepped over him, weapon pointed at Jake's chest. You fought well, human. But this is the end. A voice cut through the smoke. No. Valra stood tall, her body glowing brighter than ever before. This is the end for you. She raised her arms. The ground cracked. Blue light erupted from the earth beneath the soldiers' feet. A final scream echoed, and then silence. When the light faded, only the forest remained. The syndicate was gone. Jake groaned. Trying to sit up, Valra walked over and helped him. You kept your promise, Jake smiled weakly. I said I would. And I don't break promises. Moments later, the sky lit up. The rescue ship landed in the clearing, its engines kicking up dust and leaves. Doors opened. Medics ran out. Jake, Valra, and Kiru were guided inside. Safe. Finally safe. Inside the ship, as medics worked on their wounds, Kiru looked up at Jake. Are you going back to your world now? Jake looked at her, then at Valra. He shook his head slowly. Not yet. Valra tilted her head. Why? Jake's voice was soft. Because my fight isn't over. Others are still hunted, still scared. And I have a new promise to keep. Kiru smiled. You're one of us now. Jake nodded. Not as a visitor. Not as a rescuer. But as family. As the ship rose into the stars, Valra whispered the sacred words of her people. He who protects the weak is no outsider. He is our warrior,